Episode 1. We don't say names after sunset. They told me not to speak after dark. Not in this town. Not even a whisper. Especially not a name. It sounded like superstition when I arrived. A rustic little town tucked between forest and fog, where everyone smiles a little too tightly, and no one wears name tags, no mailboxes, no house numbers, just empty signs and old eyes that seem to watch the shadows more than the sky. I came here to rest, to be invisible, but I didn't expect everyone else to want the same thing. On my first night, I walked into the corner diner, ordered a coffee. The waitress nodded, poured it, and never asked for my name. She didn't give hers either. When I asked, she just frownsy, her hand still gripping the pot. I suddenly distant. I wouldn't, she whispered, not after sundown. I laughed. She didn't. That night, as I lay in the old rental house off the main road, I heard voices outside, low, rhythmic, not angry, not drunk, just warm. I peeked through the curtains. 3 people stood in the street, not moving, not talking, just standing, facing my house. One of them raised a hand and scratched something into the air, not with a pen, with a finger, like carving smoke. The others whispered it, my name, my real name, the one I hadn't said aloud in weeks, the one I had buried with my past. And I swear to God, I felt it leave me, like breath stolen from the inside. I tried to say it out loud, just once, but nothing came, only silence, only cold. The next morning, I found the front door open, nothing missing, except the note I had taped to the fridge with my name on it. It was gone, and scratched faintly into the wood just above the handle, in tiny letters like a whisper carved into bone. You belong more now. I asked the neighbor what was going on. She didn't answer, just handed me a page from an old, yellowing book. It said, in this town, names are the doorway. At night, they open wide, and once spoken, they never come back whole. She looked me in the eye. You want to stay, don't you? I nodded, then let the silence keep you. That night, I locked every door, shut every window, turned off every light, but I could still hear it. Soft footsteps circling the house, and one voice, familiar, hollow, saying the name I couldn't remember anymore. My own. Episode 2. The things that call us back. I woke up choking on silence. Not air, not smoke. Silence. Thick, pressurized, like the sound had been sucked from the room. While I slept in it, the first thing I checked my phone. Dead, not drained, just warm. The screen still lit up, but it didn't show the time. Just static. And in the corner, where my name used to be, was nothing. No contact list, no wood, no record I had ever existed. I tried to laugh. The sound came out brittle. I thought I'd go to the sheriff's office, ask if there had been reports. Weird people outside my door, missing things, missing names. But when I got there, the building was locked, curtains drawn, a handwritten sign taped to the window. No names spoken, no names taken. Come back in daylight. Behind the glass, I could see a desk full of old radios, all turned on, all whispering, and not in English. That's when I noticed something strange. The people here, they all walked a little faster past me, didn't wave like they had the first day. Some even crossed the street, like I was glowing with something contagious. I stopped at the diner again, same waitress, still no name tag, but she looked at me longer this time, studied my face like it was unraveling. You didn't sleep through it, she said quietly. I shook my head. She poured me coffee. Didn't blink. They found you. They only find people who leave their names loose. She sat her day down across from me, leaned in. The ones who stayed too long, they stop using names altogether. We call each other what we remember. Ew, I think you used to be Jacob or maybe Elena. Doesn't matter now. I stared at her. You mean it's gone? My name? She nodded. You can whisper it all you want, but it won't come back the same. Before I could reply, she slid a napkin toward me, words scratched onto it like she didn't want to remember writing them. You're fading, darling, and that's how they like you. I left without finishing my drink. Didn't remember paying, didn't remember the walk home, just the sound of someone behind me, repeating a name that made my teeth ache. It wasn't mine, but somehow, it still pulled. Episode 3. The house that holds what we forget. There's a house at the edge of town that doesn't appear on maps. It doesn't need to. People find it when their names start slipping. Or maybe the house finds them. Today, I followed the humming, not a melody, more like a memory trying to sing. It started near the old water tower, where the grass grows too tall, and the air smells like rusted breath. Each step I took, the sound grew louder, a low, wordless vibration in the bones, instead of the ears. Then I saw it, The house was pale gray, taller than it should have been, and leaning forward like it wanted to whisper something to the earth. No mailbox, no driveway, no welcome, but the door was open. The front room looked like a museum of silence. No dust, no light, only shelves, hundreds of shelves, and on them, jars, small glass jars, each sealed with wax, each glowing faintly, and each labeled with something that wasn't quite a word. I stepped closer. The first jar said, Martha but not hers. The second, the one that left in '89, levered, mine, want. The air changed around me, heavy, personal, and then I saw one, a jar with my handwriting on it, though I don't remember writing it. The label simply said, before they called me stranger. My hands shook as I reached for it, but before I could touch the glass, someone spoke behind me. You can look, the voice rasped, but you don't get to keep it. I turned. An old man stood in the doorway, half in shadow. His eyes were pale, not blind, just old for this world. Who are you? I asked. He tilted his head. Wrong question. Then what's the right one? He stepped inside, gestured toward the shelves. Ask which one of these is yours now, because when the town begins to take your name, it gives you something else. I swallowed. What? He smiled. A silence that listens, a forgetting that forgives, a new scheme for your soul. I turned back to the jar. It pulsed faintly in my hands, and for just a second, I remembered what my name felt like, the weight of it, the shape of my mother's voice when she first whispered it, the echo of it in someone's arms. Then the glow dimmed, and the jar sealed itself shut. The old man whispered behind me, That's all you get. Episode 4. The face in the mirror wasn't mine. This morning, I forgot my reflection. I didn't mean to. I stood in front of the mirror, brushing my teeth like I always do, and noticed something strange. The face stared back just a little too long after I looked away. And the eyes, they weren't mine, not anymore. They were softer, older, unfamiliar, as if they had been borrowed from a stranger who once wore my body like a borrowed coat. I touched the glass. The reflection didn't follow, not right away. It blinked 1 beat late. That was the moment I understood. This town doesn't just take your name. It takes your edges. First your identity, then your memories, then your form. It doesn't erase you. It rewrites you. I left the mirror and walked outside, meeting air, or maybe proof that I still had breath. The town was quieter than usual, too quiet, even though it seemed to be holding something in. At the market, I asked the butcher for a name. Any name. He handed me a wrapped package of meat and looked through me. Names are sharp, he said, and this town hates anything sharp. He slid something into my palm, a small scrap of paper. One word was written on it, Aline. It meant nothing to me, and yet it made my chest ache. I asked, Who is Aline? He only shook his head. You were, he said. Maybe. I left in 8 days, the name burning a hole in my memory. Back at the house, I opened a drawer I hadn't touched since arriving. Inside were letters, down scenes of them, all unopened, all addressed to different names. Some I recognized, most I didn't. One envelope caught my eye. No stamp, no return address, just a name. Mine, the one I thought I'd forgotten. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a photo of me. Only, it wasn't. Not quite. The eyes were mine, but the face was blurred, smudged like a painting rubbed too hard. And on the back of the photo, someone had written, You are almost ready. When your name is completely gone, she will take your place. Episode 5. The one who waits where names collapse. I saw her last night. Not in a dream, not in a reflection, not in the corners of my eye. I saw her completely. She stood at the edge of my bed, barefoot, still, draped in a black dress that didn't touch her skin. It floated, like smoke held in the shape of a woman. Her face was mine, not as I am, but as I might have been. Had I never left? Had I never fought to remember? Only one detail was different. Her eyes, they were hollow, not empty, just too full of something I couldn't bear to understand. She didn't speak, didn't breathe, didn't blink. She only watched, as if counting the parts of me that no longer belonged to myself. I tried to speak, to ask her what she wanted, but when I opened my mouth, no words came. Only air, only loss, and done. She smiled, not kindly, not cruelly, just knowingly, like she had always known this moment would come, and that I was the only one still pretending it was avoidable. She leaned in, placed a cold, translucent finger on my chest, and whispered, not into my ears, but into my bones, You're almost hollow enough. I don't remember falling asleep, but I woke up with bruises on my ribs, as if something had tried to reach in, not to hurt me, but to make room. I checked the mirror. My face was fading at the edges. like a photograph left in the rain. My voice sounded thinner, lighter, like it no longer had a name to carry. I went back to the old house, one with the jars, hoping the old man could tell me what was happening. But it was empty, only a note on the door, written in red. She doesn't take what's stolen. She waits until you give it willingly. I think I understand now. This town doesn't just strip you of who you are. It offers you someone else. A trade, a surrender dressed as silence. And if I don't fight for what little is left of me, she will finish what I've already started. Because the truth is, I've been saying goodbye to myself, one whisper at a time, and she's been listening. Episode 6, The Memory That Bit Back. They say memory is the last thing to go, but I'm not so sure anymore, because last night, I found one that felt real, untouched, sharp around the edges like it hadn't dulled with time. It came to me as I stared at the mirror, watching my face blur with every breath. I remembered a name, not mine, hers. I don't know how I knew it. It came like a scream, underwater muffled, desperate, true. Clara. That name hit the inside of my skull like thunder. Clara, my sister, my friend, myself. I couldn't tell, but the memory wrapped around me like a heartbeat. A porch swing at dusk, orange popsicles, two girls sharing secrets, hands covered in melted sugar and promises. I clung to it, spoke it aloud. Clara, and that's when they shifted. The room darkened, not from light, but from presence. Something had me. I backed away from the mirror, but it no longer showed my room. It showed the swing, the popsicles, the girls, and Ton. Just one girl, alone, crying, mouthing a name I couldn't hear. Suddenly the reflection snapped back, but now the girl in the mirror was staring at me, her eyes wide, her mouth bleeding, and written across her chest, carving deep, jagged strokes. Clara was the first, you were the next. I stumbled back, heart racing, but a sound stopped me cold. Swinging, rhythmic, low, from outside my window. I pulled the curtain. There she was, the girl from the memory, sitting on an invisible swing that wasn't there, but her face was mine, only younger, and smiling too wide. She turned her head slowly, eyes locking onto mine, and mouthed a word I couldn't unsee. Forgotten. I closed the curtain, sank to the floor, clutched the name like a relic, whispered it again and again. Clara, 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 until the syllables turned to ash in my mouth, until the name stopped meaning anything. Because now I don't know if she was ever real, or if the town gave me that memory, just to watch me lose it again. And now, when I look in the mirror, I call her Clara, because I'm no longer sure who I am. Episode 7, The Exit That Led Back In. I packed a bag. No goodbyes, no explanations, just the raw, burning instinct that if I didn't leave tonight, I never would. I didn't bother locking the door. What's the point when the thing you're running from lies inside your name? I took the main road, the one that curves out of town like a spine trying to escape its own body. No cars, no wind, just the sound of my own footsteps and the slow unraveling of identity. I told myself, just make it to the sign, the one that says leaving Redbrook, the line no one crosses after sundown. I walked for what felt like hours. The moon stayed in the same place. The trees never changed shape, but eventually, there it was, the sign, faded, tilted, clawed at by time, leaving REDBROOK. I stepped past it, one step, then two, then I turned around and felt my lungs stop, because the sign now read, WELME to REDBROOK. I had walked in a circle. No, not a circle, a loop, a trap shaped like direction. I screamed, not out loud, but inside, and something screamed back, from the trees, from the shadows, from under my skin. Then I saw it, the girl from the swing, Clara, that's who she ever was, standing in the road, barefoot, eyes hollowed into something older than death, and behind her, 100 others, figures, blurry, featureless, all watching, all waiting, each one, almost me, versions, attempts, failures, people who tried to leave, and lost themselves on the way out. Clara tilted her head. You can't leave, she whispered, not because we won't let you, but because there's no you left to leave. I ran, back toward town, back toward the house that had no locks, no mirrors, no truth left in it, and when I opened the door, I was already inside, sitting at the table, sipping tea, smiling. You look tired, I said, and I knew then, I didn't walk out of town, I walked deeper in. Episode 8, The Memory the Town Forgot to Erase. I locked myself in the room, not to keep anything out, but to see if there was anything left in me. No mirrors, no voices, just me, an old book, and a pen that barely remembered how to write. I told myself, don't think, don't question, just write what you know. But my hand frownsy, because I didn't know what I knew anymore. So I wrote the only thing that came naturally. This town remembers what we forget. Then I wrote it again and again, until the words blurred, until the paper thinned beneath the pressure of panic. I closed my eyes, tried to dig into the past like someone clawing through wet soil, desperate to find a coffin they buried themselves in. And, I saw it. A kitchen, sunlight, laughter that didn't belong to this town. A voice, soft, certain. You always write your name first, sweetie. That way, you don't forget who the story belongs to. My mother's voice. I opened my eyes. The notebook now had one word written at the top of the page. A name. Mine. It didn't feel familiar, but it felt real. And that was more than I had felt in days. I ran to the front door, threw it open. The town was shifting, houses bending, street signs melding into symbols I couldn't read, like the world was unraveling faster than I could hold it together. I screamed my name into the air, and the ground trembled, the sky cracking it with lightning, but with whispers, 1,000 voices of mine, speaking at once in a tone I hadn't heard since childhood. Then I heard her, Clara. She stepped from the fog, like a wound returning to the surface. You found it, she said. I nodded. I think so. She walked toward me, touched my face, and in that moment, I remembered everything. The real town, the accident, the coma. Redbrook isn't a place, it's a limbo, a waiting room made of my own unfinished thoughts. Every face in this town, versions of me, echoes, fragments trying to fill the silence I left behind. Clara was never real. She was the memory I buried to forget what I'd lost. And now that I'd said my name, truly said it, the town began to shake apart. Clara looked into my eyes one last time. You were the last memory holding this place together. And just like that, she faded, and the town collapsed like ash caught in a breath. Episode 9, I woke up, but she didn't leave. I woke up in a hospital bed, white sheets, monitors humming, a clock ticking again, as if time had forgiven me for leaving. Voices spoke in hushed tones beyond the curtain. Doctors, nurses, relieved murmurs like they'd already written my return into their notes. She's stable. How long was she under? 17 days. But she's back. Back. As if I had only stepped out for a moment. As if Redbrook hadn't swallowed me whole. A woman entered, sharp eyes, soft voice. My name is Dr. Hallie, she said. Do you know who you are? I hesitated, then said the name I had recovered in the fading town. And the doctor smiled, but I didn't, because something inside me flinched. That night, they let me sleep. I shouldn't have. In the dark of that white room, I heard it. Again, the swing, creaking, rhythmic, a lullaby of something unfinished. I sat her up, heart racing. There was no swing, only a chair in the corner. But it rocked, slowly, deliberately, no one in it. Yet it rocked, as if Clara had followed me. I rushed to the bathroom, flicked on the light, and there, in the mirror, was my face, but not my eyes. They were watching me, from the inside, and carved into the condensation on the mirror. We never leave, we just move in. I screamed. The nurses came. They told me it was trauma, disorientation, post-coma confusion, but none of them saw the shadow in the corner that wouldn't stop smiling. None of them heard the voice that whispered in my ear that night. Redbrook was built inside you, and now it has a new address. I thought I had escaped, but I didn't walk out of Redbrook. Redbrook walked out with me, and every time someone says my name, now, I feel it's lit, just a little. Episode 10, I dream for to know. It started with the nurse. Her name was Lily. Kind eyes, quiet hands. She brought me tea every morning without saying much. On the 4th day, she asked, what was it like? I hesitated, but something in her voice felt genuine, wounded, even. So I told her, not everything, just enough. The name, the swing, the way Redbrook felt like a memory pretending to be a place. She didn't flinch. She only nodded, then whispered, I used to dream of a place like that too, with no clocks, no names, just air that remembered you. I didn't sleep that night, not because of fear, because of recognition. The next morning, Lily was gone, transferred. They said, sudden family emergency. No details, but I knew, because when I walked past the nurse's station, her nameplate Saturday alone on the desk. Blank, no letters, no outline, as if it had never been carved at all. Later that day, a doctor called me by name at voice. Each time, it felt thinner, lighter, like my name had turned to smoke, and he was breathing it in without knowing. That night, I dreamed again, not as myself. As Lily, she was walking through fog, calling out for someone. but she didn't remember who. And on the edge of the path, the swing waited, empty, but swaying. When I woke up, my hand smelled like ash, and the tea on my nightstand was cold, even though no one had brought it. The next day, another patient went missing. Room 213, an elderly man who used to hum a tune I could never place. Now the bed was gone, the room repainted, no mention in the logs, but I remembered him, and that was the problem. Red Brook doesn't feed on forgetting. It feeds on the one who remembers, and now I carry it. It lives behind my eyes. A house with no lights, a town with no maps. Each time someone looks at me too long, asks the wrong question, listens too closely, they take a step closer to it. And when they dream, I'm there, not to guide them, to open the door, because I don't dream for myself anymore. I dream for the town. I dream for the names it still wants. Episode 11, the name I gave instead. Last night, the town spoke to me, not through dreams, not through mirrors, through a voice that came from inside my breath. It wasn't a command, it was an offer. Give us one, and we will leave you whole. I left, quietly, not because it was funny, but because it sounded so reasonable. Just one name, a name that wasn't mine, a life traded for my silence, a memory surrendered so I could keep what's left of myself. I didn't answer, but the offer lingered, like steam on a window that never quite fades. And then I thought of Jamie. She visited the hospital every Sunday. A volunteer, too kind, too curious. She always brought me books, asked me questions like she believed I still had answers. But last Sunday, she said something I can unhear. Sometimes I think I used to be someone else. You know, like there's another life just under this one, waiting to wake up. I watched her closely then. Her eyes were soft. Her name was sharp. It echoed when she said it, like it still mattered. Red Brook would like her. She was untouched. Oh, a full name with weight behind it. I didn't want to think like that, but I did. All week. The next time she visited, she handed me a letter. I wrote this for you. She smiled. In case you ever forget who you are again. The envelope had my name on it. The real one, written in her handwriting. And I gave her name to the town that night. Not aloud, not with ritual, just a whisper into the hollow space between memory and mercy. Jamie. The lights flickered, the room went cold, and I felt something shift inside me, like I'd made space, like I'd just handed off my shadow to someone brighter. The next day, Jamie didn't come. No one spoke her name. No one remembered she'd ever been assigned to me. Her letter was blank, only the envelope remained. And where my name had been, a different word was written in looping. Wet ink, replaced. I stared at it until my hands went numb. I was still here, still me, still whole, but something else is true now. I know how to feed the town, and, worse, I know I'll do it again, because Red Brook is hungry, and I've only just begun to serve. Episode 12, the town is learning to walk. I felt it, today, in my veins. Not blood, not sickness, something older. It moved differently, not like something passing through me, but something taking root. Every time I spoke someone's name, they paused, flickered, just for a moment, like a frame missing from a film reel. At first, I thought it was deja vu, until it happened with the mailman, the receptionist, the barista. Their names were small things, but the moment I said them, they dimmed, as if their names no longer belonged fully to them. They'd smile, blink, shake their heads like forgetting why they walked into a room. But I knew Red Brook was growing, not as a place, as a pattern, a spreading system of unremembering. And I was its voice box, its map, its root system. I walked down the street today and thought, what happens when I say them all? What happens when the world is a blank envelope, and I am the only return address? I tried not to speak, tried not to say names aloud, but they slipped. They always do. Names fall like breath, and Red Brook inhales. I whispered a stranger's name under my breath in the elevator. He smiled. 5 minutes later, I passed him again. He didn't recognize me, didn't recognize himself, and that was when I understood. Red Brook is not a place you go. It's a place that calls you back by taking everything you are. And now, it no longer needs fog or mirrors or looping roads. It just needs a voice. Mine. That night, I dreamed of the swing again, but this time, I was on it, rocking gently, and in the tree above me hung wind chimes, made of name tags, clinking softly, soundless, and at the base of the tree, carved deep into the bark. When enough names fade, the town will walk free. I woke up gasping, not because I was afraid, but because I felt the ground beneath me shift, just a little, like the street I lived on had moved closer to something, to Red Brook, NL. Every time I close my eyes, I don't see people anymore. I see possibilities, names, waiting. Episode 13. I am the last name the town will take. The sky was colorless this morning. Not gray, not blue, just blank. Like someone had wiped it clean to make room for something else. And the air felt full, pregnant, waiting. The town was no longer in my dreams. It was beneath my skin. I could feel it breathing through me, timing its pulses with my heartbeat, growing stronger each time I whispered a name I used to love. NL. It wants mine. The final name. The root. The one that kept Redbrook anchored to memory. I've fed it, protected it, spoken for it, but I've never given myself completely. Until now. I went to the mirror one last time, looked into my face, and saw down scenes. Clara, Jamie, a nurse, the men into 13, all flickering beneath my skin like film reels overexposed by time. I touched the glass and whispered, "You can have it. My name, the one I wrote in notebooks as a child, the one they called when I was born, the one my mother once whispered to calm me down." I gave it to Redbrook, and it was beautiful. The feeling of release, of unbeing, of detaching from a self that had grown too heavy with remembering. My mouth still moved, but I wasn't saying anything anymore, only the shape of a name no one would recall, and that was the final door. The earth beneath me softened, my reflection smiled, and from every shadow in the room, they came, not to haunt, to thank me, the ones who had faded, the ones who had been trapped to echo. They stepped forward and became whole again, through me, because Redbrook never wanted to destroy. It wanted to be remembered, but the only way to remember something forever is to become it, and so I did. Now the town has no borders, no roads, no signs, only whispers, and wherever a name is spoken to softly or forgotten too quickly, you find me there, not as a warning, as a welcome, because now I am not lost. I am the place people vanish into. I am Redbrook, and I'm always listening.